G'day everyone, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be about installing an amateur radio into our Pajero over here. There's going to be a couple of little tips along the way about how to run, cabling up to the roof as far as coax to get to an antenna. We're also going to cover off how to get power wires from inside the cabin out through the firewall and out to your battery or to your fuse block there, and then just the general install itself. So if you're just looking in general to install some sort of communications radio into the Pajero, this could be the video for you. So I'm getting rid of the dual bander, the ID800, which used to do D-Star. I've still got D-Star on the 7100 in the middle console. I did put out a wanted ad on the VK Ham asking for a dual bander, something along these lines, but I was hoping to get FT400, which is the Yaesu, which has the Fusion on it and APRS. I actually really wanted one of those, but I just got a number of offers on the 2730. Now, it's not the best radio for me. I was hoping to have an additional digital radio in there. A DMR would have been nice, but I didn't want to go and buy one of the Chinese ones. They seem like they're still having some issues there from a DMR perspective. Handhelds are great, but the mobiles seem to be a little bit slow on getting up to speed there. So what I did, put up an ad on VK Ham, and I had a number of people offering me these 2730s. So in the end, I just wanted to get something in the car. That's what we've gone with. I'll do a bit of a review on the radio later on, but let's just say if I had a number of other radios to pick from, I wouldn't have gone with the 2730. icom has really pissed a whole bunch of people off. When you buy the radio itself off the shelf, you don't get a mounting bracket. So you don't have a mounting bracket for the head, you have no way to mount it remotely, and you certainly don't have any way to mount it on the radio body itself. So regardless of which option you choose to do, mount it on the radio body or mount it remotely, you need to buy a bracket. Now that's taking the piss, icom, fair dinkum. And of course they'll sell you one for a good price. So look, go and have a look at eHam, you'll see lots and lots of complaints about that. Not on icom, really isn't. If I hadn't bought this second hand, there is no way on God's green I would have touched that new off the shelf, knowing that was going to be like that. Luckily it does come with a remote head cable, and I'm going to show you how I've managed to mount mine in the car without having to spend any extra bucks with icom. So for a couple of bucks, you can do exactly the same and have this mounted remotely, and not have to spend those extra bucks on the mounting gear. Anyway, let's jump into it. We'll show you what we're doing with the icom 2730, getting it mounted in the Pajero. In relation to the head, I'm going to do exactly what I've done with the ID800 here, which was, you'll see, if I just take that away, you'll see what I've done is just popped a couple of magnets on the back of the radio head itself. The super glue has run here. I might have some troubles getting that out, but anyway, I've just grabbed a couple of these rare earth magnets just off eBay, and I'll put a link down to those down in the description. You can get probably 20 of those for about $5, so I'm using these literally all over the place. So to have the windows down, I needed some Aussie protection. So what I've done is just taken some fly mesh that I had for making mesh for the hammocks, cheap magnets off eBay. Throw the magnets around it. And also stick a couple inside, just to hold this mesh in so it gets caught by the door. Much better than getting beaten by the mozzies, and allows a little bit of a cross draft there for where I'm sleeping. I've just glued those onto the dash where I wanted that, and you'll see on the back of the 2730 I've just replicated that. I was a bit concerned because the connector cable comes out and it's relatively thick. It is just a phone type cable, but it is a pretty thick one. But the contour here of the trim and the length of this head, having to keep it inside so it doesn't get bumped by the door when the door shuts like that, I had to put it right up in the corner, and when I mount that there, you'll see where that cable comes off the back is on the inside here, so it's not flush. I was concerned if it was flush I was going to have to bring this out a little bit or something like that, but that's basically what it's going to look like there. You'll see that door can shut, it gets nice and close, but it doesn't touch that head to bump it off. And then obviously if I need to remove it at any point, I can just reach down, grab it, disconnect that cable at the back, and away we go. So what we need to do is route this wire to that control head, up, around, in, over the back of the dash. We need to get in through the back here, but we should be able to just feed it across the back. And then over, just up into the glove box where that main unit is going to be. It's very similar sized to the actual ID800 that we've got there, the body wise. So I think, and I'm hoping, that those holes that we've got on the side that we've used to mount the 800 up in there are going to be a straight fit. So I'm really hoping this is going to be just a nice and easy job. It does come with an HM at 207, which has all the pretty buttons and it's backlit and all that sort of stuff. But I don't like these hanger things. These are just like a normal hook that you've got to hook on. With the old microphone, it still has the up and down buttons, which I've confirmed do work, and the microphone does actually work with the new unit. What I actually like about this one is it's got the metal hanger on the back. Now just here beside the steering wheel, again, some of that glue's run, but you'll see that I've stuck a little magnet here, and that's real easy while I'm driving to not have to look, to be able to throw that on there, and that's a stay. And you'll see I've put a bigger magnet there to keep hold of that. The littler ones just weren't doing quite that job that I wanted them to do. So I haven't done a lot of programming of this, but I have programmed it up sufficiently with the local repeaters, etc., some simplex stuff and some air band stuff that I like to listen to when I'm traveling. When I was looking to find the local repeaters, normally I'll use a WIA and get their repeater lists and input the stuff from that. But what I wanted to do was, rather than just having a look at a list and try and pick out the repeaters that were local to me, what I wanted to do was be able to see them on a map and to see what repeaters were in my area that were ones that were worth putting in, that I might encounter on my local travels. Now I found this website here. I don't remember the name, but I'll put it up here on the screen. This is excellent. This will show you all of the digital different type repeaters, so C4FM, D-Star, DMR, and it also has the other repeaters, 10 meters, 6 meters, 2 and 70. So this is a really excellent resource, and to be honest, one I didn't know existed until I jumped on the computer last night and started having a look. So you'll see here, you can put in the different repeaters if you know the call. You can put in the repeater's call sign. You can do a search, it'll show up on the map. Now if you go to the full map page and just expand that over the whole screen, you'll see all of the repeater information is down that left hand side, so you can see if it requires a tone input, the output, as well as showing up on the map and show you where the actual repeater is located. So really handy resource, this one. So I want to give a shout out. I don't know who set this up. Big thanks to whoever put their time into this, because this is absolutely brilliant. We're just dropping the glove box down under here. Really easy. Now if you're looking to pull the dash apart, I do have a 3-video series which will show you how to do that. I'll put a link up there in the description. Or you'll see a card that'll come up in the top right hand corner. But as far as just dropping the glove box out, a couple of little 10mm bolts we just need to pull out there. One on this side. There's one on this corner as well. Right, that's 2. Pop the trim off the outside here. 1, 2, and then pull forward. That allows us just to get behind this piece of trim here, just to start to lever that out. Gently as you go, and that'll pop out. So there's 3 clips on the back of that, 3 screws here. Really is an easy job to get this out. Granted, I have worked on cars that are easier. Pull the rest of the dash out, bit of a pain in the backside, but getting the glove box out is easy enough. Now, when you do this, it has got a couple of clips along the top here that'll hold it in place, but just have your elbow there ready just in case, because sometimes it might drop down if those clips aren't holding on okay. And they are. As you can see, 2 clips just here. Just push down on those and pull it out. And then that glove box will drop down. When you're in the back here and you're working with this, what you probably want to do, because there's a bit of a tension on this is just a little globe for your glove box, so just back that out, push these little clips and push them out, and then that sort of releases that cable, so there's not a heap of tension on it. You have to remember to put that in, obviously, later on. Now what we want to do is we want to remove this back section here, because you can see that's where we've got the screws going through that hold on the body of the unit. There's our 213 cable coming in there, and a whole heap of other rubbish over the back. So what we need to do is just undo these 2 screws here. Now this is standard, I haven't changed this. I've cut a few holes in it, but this section is separate as a standard thing. So if you undo these screws, that section will pop off. See, that will just pull straight back, and we now have the main unit of the radio just there. Got some other cables and stuff running in through. These are USBs coming from stereo. That's the speaker cable. This is our extension cable that we've used for our mic, which we're going to reuse. You can see I've drill the appropriate holes at the back there to get things through. And luckily enough, what I should have found out before I started cutting holes was the actual power cable for the ID800 actually fits the 2730. So if you're doing this job, I'd already started to pull this out and cut things off, so I had to go and redo those, but luckily enough I didn't get as far as pulling stuff through the firewall. So this actually plugs into the 2730, which is bloody brilliant because I didn't have to reroute cables. Try and tidy things up in here a little bit. Just a couple of cable ties and sort things out. For now, what I need to do is just undo these screws, which will release this body, which will enable me to pull that through far enough to undo that coax. Loosen that up so the head unit itself is loose, and we'll just undo that coax cable. They're not too far off being the same size, so luckily on the back the connectors are all in the same position, so you can see the coax input there and our speaker inputs etc. on the right hand side, so that's good. That's where we've got everything running, and the power cable's neither here or there. That's going to be same. This is the unit. You can see those two holes drilled in the back. We're going to see if we can get that to line up with that unit there like that, and those two screws in the back literally just hold that unit in there, and that works like that. Make that connection to the power cord while we've got the radio out a little bit. As you can see, it's a little bit fiddly, but it's easy enough to do. And I've got to tell you, I do think the 213 is overkill. It was just to try something different. Anyway, could have just stuck with a 58. Okay, so that is the body mounted. On the 2730, it's actually got two speaker outputs because it's got two sides, so you can have a different speaker for each side, or if you just plug it into speaker port 1, that'll work for both sides. Similar to the Kenwood TMV71. Just a bit of a tip when routing wires through the firewall here in the Pajero. Hopefully you can see that with the daylight. You've actually got your big rubber grommet here. Now what you can do is there's a 10mm bolt on this side and a 10mm bolt on that side. So what you can do is if you undo those 10mm bolts either side, you can pull that grommet out. You can see that hole in the back. So what you can actually do is reach up behind the glove box, feed stuff out here, and then actually do the feeding through the grommet on the outside of the car rather than up in behind the firewall. So that's just handy. Now just with regards to routing coax, if you come out sort of up this corner, up under the, I guess the hinge, you can run in through the back here. There's a small plastic piece where I've just taken out the screw, and we run up here, and you can see where I've just run this previous lot of coax just up the outside of that windowsill. That's exactly the same as I'm going to do here. You go up there across the top. Now this is the same as any wire. You can route this up here on the Pajero, across the top into that strip that runs along there, and literally just tuck it in there. So we'll be pulling that one out, just there, and we'll be rerouting the new one. This was the 213 that I've got up there. Again, bit of a silly move. Just want to see whether that made any improvement for the mobile unit, and it didn't in particular. But as you can see, I've routed up the inside of the windscreen. I did have some stuff holding that on, so it was a little less obvious, which we do. I've got some proper Celastic stuff that's going to hold that on. So I might redo that and get that refitted so it doesn't just flap around like it is at the moment. Grab yourself a flathead screwdriver, just lift up that edge, pop that underneath, and then what you can do is just lead that cable with the screwdriver. Just do your first run, just lifting that up and just pushing that coax under there like that. Once you get around to the top, you need to be a little bit more particular about where you're going, and you'll find if you just get your screwdriver and just follow it along on the second run, push it in, you'll see that'll actually seat in, and you'll be all good. Again, just push it in. Doesn't always sit as nice as you might like it in the corner. Then just go past that weather strip and go to the inside, and then what you're going to do is just drop that in that channel there, just like that, and it will disappear. Doesn't hurt again, just to go along with the screwdriver and just push that in under that. Now when you've done this, when you've added cabling and stuff to your gutters, just pay particular attention when you're cleaning this to get up there and give that a good blast of water out there, because that's going to help hold debris and stuff. So just going to get up, wrap that round and plug it into the bottom of the antenna base. just up there. Now one other thing I've gone to in relation to mounting, I've changed the mounts on the, gone with a solid metal mount, like they're an aluminium. I used to have those, you know, KB40s or something like the diamond type ones with the little hinges and you could angle them. But I found over the years they just start to break. Just never found them to be as solid as I wanted to be. So I'll show you the ones that I bought there off eBay. I think I got 4 of those for around about 30 bucks, 26 bucks, something like that. So I'm actually going to buy myself another 4 because I could put some extra antennas up. But they've been great, really solid, and they work really well on my basket. The other thing I've gone with is just these barrel connectors with the 2 nuts. So all I do is I use these. So the antenna will obviously screw onto there as per normal, and then I just put a PL259 on the back of it, plug it in, and away I go. And what that does, I find some antennas like a little more depth on the top where they screw in, some like a little bit less. So what I can do is just screw that up if I want one that needs a little bit more depth to make good contact, or I can screw it down and then screw up the bottom, and then at the end of the day that's kind of customizable. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually quickly route the head, so getting it routed up across under the dash there and up out this side is going to be a little bit more of a challenge, a little bit more fiddly. Going to have to get up under there and pass things through. So I'm going to get that done, then I'll worry about tidying this up and get this finished up. Okay, so here's a little tip for you. Now sorry, I'm just trying to dodge the sun, it's in all sorts of spots. If you're trying to route wires through a car, whether it be out through the firewall, under the seats, across the back of the dash, here's a little tip for you. I know a lot of you out there probably already know this, but this is for the guys that may not know about this little trick. Grab yourself a coat hanger, one that's reasonably stiff but not too hard to bend and mould, and one that the missus or whatever isn't gonna miss. Cut that off, bend it out straight. Now sometimes it doesn't hurt to leave the extra bit on, but what I usually like to do is just bend it out straight myself. Again, just give myself a nice long straight piece and then cut that off. So pretty much all you're doing is just cutting the hook off. Leave yourself the rest. Put a little bit of a bend on one end though, something like that, because what you'll find is sometimes you'll want to, if you want to bend that upwards and you've got that bend upwards, it helps you just once you've pushed that through on the other side and you can't see the end, helps you know the orientation of your wire. So if I wanted that end to be down, all I need to do is grab my little hook, turn it in the down position, and now I know my coat hanger is bending that way, going through whatever it is. Luckily, here all I need to do is go straight across the back of the dash. So I just need it to be nice and straight. Another little pointer is, if you need to be pulling wire through, what you can do is grab your coat hanger, again, have your hook in one particular orientation, grab it and just bend it over. Give yourself something along those lines, and then what you find is that's small enough to put through a hole in the firewall, like a grommet or something like that, and you can hook that around the end of the wire, and when you've got the wire in that, just give it a bit of a clamp that shut so that's really pinching on the wire, and then you'll find you can generally, as a rule, because you can see that's pinched nice and close to that, that will usually slide back through the grommet, back through the firewall and to where you need it, or alternatively just use that to hook onto your wire and pull it back through. Another thing you can do is wrap around electrical tape to make that a smooth progression from sort of, thin to thick, and that also puts some extra mechanical tension on your wire as well. We don't need that, so I need to cut that off now. So what we're trying to do is just run the head unit wire down under the driver's side footwell, and if I hold you up there, hopefully you can see we can go straight through there and out the other side, which will take us out to the passenger side footwell. Unfortunately, this wire isn't stiff enough to just push through from one side to the other. So what we need to do is go around the other side, put our coat hanger through. Just going to push that through to the other side, and there's our coat hanger just there. We're just going to grab our wire that we want to put through there. Just hook it on. So what we might do is just tie a bit of a loop in that just so it holds on. There we go, and then we're just going to go back out the other side and pull that through. And there's our cable. It's just the one we want. Route this up the back there somewhere so it's out of the way. We've got that needs to go in the front of the head unit there and plug in. So we're going to pull quite a bit of that because we prefer to have the, I guess, the slack over this side. It's all connected up. We've got our speaker in, we've got our power connected, we've got our ridiculously sized coax over there. This is our control unit and this is our microphone. So realistically we should probably go and test her out and see whether she works. Okay, so this is wired up off our accessories, so turn that on. We'll just plug our microphone in as well. Let's see what happens. And she's awake. Just from the driver's side, so I'll just lean across. You can see we've got a good view of the screen there. Let's see if we can put out a quick call and just make sure she's working. VK2 MRX. Anybody out there for a quick radio check, please?
Station after radio check. I missed your call sign, but this is VK2 Kilo Oscar Golf at Nelson Bay. Got you loud and clear, 5x5.
Roger, VK2 Kilo Oscar Golf. Call this way, VK2 Mike Romeo X-Ray. The name is Brett. Thanks very much for coming back, mate. Just installing a new mobile into the car. And this is its first turn on. Just wanted to make sure everything was working.
VK2 MRX, VK2 Kilo Oscar Golf. No, look, it's coming through very clear. Possibly a little tinny, if I can describe it that way to you. But no, it's. I think you've got no problems there whatsoever, Chief. Over.
Roger. Okay, thanks very much for coming back. Very much appreciate that. That helps out a great deal. I can continue buttoning everything up, knowing that it's all working as it should do for now anyway. The name this way is Brett as well. Thanks very much again. Appreciate it so much. VK2 KOG, VK2 MRX.
VK2 MRX, VK2 KOG. Yes, thank you, Brett. The name's Harry this way. Harry, transmitting from windy and sunny Nelson Bay. Whereabouts are you, Brett?
Yeah, Harry, mate, located at Glendale. Weather is very much the same. They did say it was going to be particularly, well, a little bit cooler than it was yesterday, but I found it to be quite nice out in the sun, mate. Good day to be working on the car, if I do say so.
Fine. All the best to you, and we'll say 7-3's Brett. VK2 MRX, VK2 KOG, 7-3.
Thanks very much, Harry. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you. VK2 KOG from VK2 MRX. I'm clear. Cheers. 7-3. All right, that's excellent. So that's working.
VK2 MRX, VK2 YK.
Okay, here we go. G'day, Adam Lee. How you going, mate?
Not too bad. I'm just out and about. I'm just going to test my APRS.
Get this buttoned up, mate, and get inside it. It's all right. I don't mind taking on these jobs, but sometimes when they run over time and it ends up being a bit more fiddly than you want it to be, you're just ready for it to be over. So I'm at that point now where I just want to pack it up, get it done, and then go and get a feed. So thanks for coming back, mate. Oh, I switched it to the other side, the other band. So I don't know whether that made any difference to audio quality, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't sound any different at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't expect it to. Thought it was just worth a crack. I don't think I've got it on narrow or anything like that. So I don't know. Here's what.
73.
Cheers, mate. 7-3. Now, just one thing that is a little bit annoying is that it's one of those ones where you key up. And the fan goes straight away. There is an option to have the fan on low, medium or high, or have it on auto. I've got it on auto, but literally it comes on as soon as you key up. So that's not too bad, being that it's going to be up in the glove box. It's going to be hidden away. The 800 and the 208s, they're all very similar with how they operate the fan. A little bit annoying if you're using it in a shack type scenario, but in the cab, somewhere like that, if you've got the radio under the seat or in the glove box, it's not too much of an issue. Okay, so that's excellent. We've got a radio check from Harry and Adam. Now, all we need to do is get in here and try and just tidy this little bit of a mess up. Give you a quick look at what it looks like once we've got it all installed. This one here is just a USB from our pumpkin head unit, so that one's just running through into there so I can reach from inside the glove box. This is our microphone extension cable. This is our control head unit. This is our power cable, extension speaker cable, and this is our, again, our ridiculous 213 coax that we've got running out the back. But that's what it looks like all installed. So it's not as messy as I made it look. I have tidied up some of these wires in the back so it's a bit tidier, but we've got a lot of shit going on here. So from the radio, the speaker, this goes up the inside there, up into the corner, which brings you up out to the front of the A pillar here, runs up along the underside here, along here, and back to our just our little extension speaker over the shoulder there of the passenger. Just hooked on, just like that, over the top. You can see that just the bracket there is just hooked on over the top of that. I do have one over above the driver's seat. That's the one I've got there for the HF, for the 7100, which is mounted here in the middle. Around to the side of the door, you can see that speaker cable there where we routed that up through the A-pillar. See two slot holes there that we just push that one in, pop her on, and that is the dash all back together. We've got a bit more extension on our XRS CB radio now, which is good. So that is it. That is the 2730 install into the Pajero. Nice, out of the way. It's not going to bump anything. I can remove the head unit and if I need to. That's our CB over here for our XRS. So we've got plenty of extension now. We can run that anywhere we want. Still love this bloody radio. Now if you're an amateur radio operator and you're looking at getting a CB radio and you want something that's going to interest you and keep you a bit entertained, have a look at these XRS radios. These are bloody brilliant. They do something very similar to your APRS, but they do packet reporting and position reporting, but they do it from point to point, so from radio to radio. So you can connect this up to your Android tablet, your Apple tablet, something along those lines, and see where your mates are, providing they're in RF distance, so they're within transmission range and they are transmitting. You'll actually receive a packet at the end of their transmission which will show their location and show up on your map, and vice versa. And you can also send short messages with those as well. You can actually program in some 70SEMS repeaters and frequencies into that, so you can listen to some public broadcast type stuff, but you can also listen to some 70cm amateur radio. So I could program that 438025 into that and be able to monitor that from that radio there as well, and include it in the scan frequencies. So right now I've got more radios than I can poke a stick at. So we've got the CB 7100, which will do obviously shack in a box. We'll do everything up to 70cm all the way down to HF. If we go across the dash over this side, we've got the dual banded, which is a 2730, only analog, so it won't do a D-star like the 7100 will. Unfortunately, I was chasing a D-star or a DMR radio, or possibly even a fusion radio. Now that I've got it, it probably still wouldn't be my first choice, but it's what I got, that's what we're working with, and we're back to having two sides that we can monitor multiple frequencies at once, which is a bloody ripper from the car. And that's it, guys. That's the icom 2730. Not real happy with those audio reports. The guy's saying that it's a little bit tinny, but we'll worry about that later on. I have swapped the mics, doesn't seem to have made an improvement, and I don't think there's anything that I can adjust in the menu that can make any changes to that, but we shall see. We'll see what other reports seem to suggest as well. For now, we're happy, we're done. I'm going to shut this up. I'm going to get a feed. I'm absolutely starving. I was going to get a feed about 4 hours ago. It hasn't happened. Me and the dog are hungry. We're going to get a feed. Aren't we, bud? But for now, that's it. Thanks very much for stopping by. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers, guys. G'day guys, thanks for stopping by. Today was going to be a 2-video day, but it turned out not to be the case. Luckily, we had something we could fall back on. The first thing that I was going to do was going to show you a video of an install of a 150 decibel air horn that I got off Facebook. Now I think a number of you may have seen this pop up on Facebook. Now this one got me early morning on a Sunday morning. I spotted it and went, you know what, yeah, why not? It was about 30 odd bucks. Thought I'd go and grab one, but through the process I think I had to pay about 15 bucks of postage, and then turned out to be US. It cost me about 50 bucks or something like that. The problem was you can actually pick these up, same thing, for about 22 bucks off eBay. You know, look, it was my fault. I got stung. Not much I can do about it. Problem with these is it comes with a mount. Now the reason you can't see the mount on mine is because it broke. Now I hadn't even got around to fitting this, and this is broke. Now this is just plastic. This is just a plastic piece of chrome coated shit. So the bottom line is, if you see these on Facebook and you're looking at these, don't touch them. It's a piece of crap. The O-ring that sits around here doesn't sit. It's the wrong size for what's needed. Doesn't fit into the hole. It hasn't been chamfered to allow that to fit in. It is quite loud. probably take it to the soccer or something like that. But 50 bucks when you can pick them up for 20 bucks, hell no. I'm probably still going to do something with this. I don't know what yet, but I can't really mount it as is. Now, one thing, I was bugging around with it though on the car because I was thinking about fitting it. You definitely need to use a relay to power these. I was connecting mine straight up to the power connection on the actual horn off the original one, and it did blow the 15 amp fuse. So the little compressor that comes with these is actually pulling greater than 15 amp. So run this off a relay, probably a 30 amp, maybe even a bit more, I don't know. It is unrated, it doesn't have any specs on the little compressor at all. Probably the best made thing out of the whole lot. But as far as these on Facebook for 50 bucks, don't touch them, give them a miss, go somewhere else. If you absolutely positively need to have one, get off eBay, 22 bucks delivered.